Hey guys, this is Justin here, and I am out of town this weekend, so I thought I would try to put together a mobility class video to get out to all of you guys that want to do some mobility this weekend. Maybe you can meet together and do it on our typical Sunday night time. Maybe you can do it by yourself at home. But I thought I'd give this a try, and if the response is good, then maybe I'll do more of these, or maybe there will be an accompanying video every week. So we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna try to do it, still get like a full 90-minute mobility session in, but I am gonna try to not make a 90-minute video. So there will probably be places where I ask you to pause the video and do a couple more rounds of a movement, or ask you to pause the video and sink into a stretch for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So I'll set things up, and then there'll be places where I'll say, please pause it for as long as you need to go through this, and then start it again. So hopefully this video works out to be about 30 minutes, but it's gonna take you through what's meant to be a 90-minute session. So you can kind of make your own time on all of that, and then I can not have to deal with uploading a 90-minute video. And you guys don't have to watch a 90-minute video. Alrighty, so let's get started. Before we even start, I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna need 2 things of equipment for this. So what I'm thinking is get yourself a foam roller. Most people should have one of those. If you prefer to use a yoga block, we're just gonna be putting it under our leg to fill some space in Pigeon later. And then the other thing is some kind of strap, right? So I have a yoga strap here, it's nice. But it doesn't need to be anything like that, just anything that has a little bit of length to it and doesn't have a lot of stretch. So that could be anything like the heavy green bands at the gym, to a belt. Karate belts work pretty well. You could use a long towel, a pair of jeans, anything, right? Even a t-shirt, I guess, but just something that's got some good length to it. We're gonna need at least a couple feet, right? And something that doesn't have a whole lot of stretch to it. So go ahead and pause this right now and grab those so that you're prepared when you need them later. And when you get back, hit play and we'll get started. All right, we're ready to get started. So we'll start like we usually do every week. Go ahead and come to standing. We'll do my top-down mobility thing like we start every week, right? So we start with just some head circles, head and neck circles. Remember, we're taking a nice, strong posture and not letting our shoulders go with our head when it comes forward, or not letting it hyperextend that low back as we come back. So it's just a nice, strong posture, letting that head get heavy, getting some circles. Moving nice and slow. Switch directions. Okay, go ahead and let that head fall forward. Just take one hand, maybe 2. Put your hand on the back of your head, and just let your head fall forward. We're not really actively pulling, just letting the weight of your arm pull you into a little bit of a deeper stretch. Again, not really letting the shoulders come with it. And if you want to increase that stretch, we can get 2 hands. That one's kind of extreme for me though, so I just go 1. Now we'll let our head fall to one direction, so it's forward, come this way. Again, hands on the side, back of my head, and I let it just pull by the weight of my arm. And then we'll go up so it's straight to the side. Again, just the weight of my arm. Back to forward, now to that other direction. And then completely to the side. Just the weight of that arm pulls us into a stretch. All right, coming out of that. Go arms straight out. We're just gonna get some shoulder circles with straight out arms, right? It's not an arm swing or an arm circle. We're letting that motion come from the shoulders. pushing my shoulders as far back as they go, as far down, as far forward, and as far up. Switch directions. Okay, now we're just going to reach for the wall on either side. We're spreading those fingertips. You can turn your hands over, feeling that stretch, move different parts of your arm. Now we're going to go fingertips up towards the ceiling. We're still spreading our fingers, pushing those palms out as far as we can, feeling the stretch come all the way up through our inner arm, sometimes even into your chest and across the front of your shoulder. All right, really pushing those palms away. All right, shake it out. Go arms back out to the side. We'll just get elbow circles. All right, so the upper arms are not moving, just circles at the elbow. Not really taking our wrists into it yet. We'll switch and go the other direction. This one always is a little more awkward for me. Okay, shake that out. Just go hands together, get some wrist circles. We'll do a little bit more wrist work before we really put weight on them. Switch directions. You can go nice and slow, really working into each wrist. Okay, shake that out. Arm back out to the side again. Just get some trunk twists. All right, we're not throwing a whole lot of weight into these. You can kind of increase that momentum as you go, right? The first couple are just easy, asking our spine to start twisting, and we can get a little more insistent on how far we ask it to go. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, but bent at the waist, so take a little bit of a wider stance so you're nice and stable. We'll hinge just at the hips, arms straight out. And again, trunk twisting while bent. Okay, when we're done with that, you can fall forward. We'll just go hands on the ground. I'm not in an excessively wide stance, right? Just kind of with that wide, stable stance that we did our bent trunk twists in. You can move around in this. We'll just rock the hips side to side. I'm keeping straight legs, right? When I rock this way, I can feel it turn on a stretch up through here. When I rock that way, I can feel it turn a stretch on through there. We're just slowly rocking back and forth, diving in. We're going to walk the hands over here to this leg, walk them back and forth. Good. All right, back up. Next one is one of my favorites. If you've done a mobility class with me before, you've done the paint the sphere game. Okay, so it's arms straight overhead. And we're just going to pretend that there's a big sphere that we're inside of. I'm going to try to paint the entire inner surface of it with my arms. Okay? Trying to get the entire surface. We can do it alternating arms like this. You can do it with arms moving at the same time. Right? Really trying to get that whole thing. We can flip our hands over, use the other side of our brushes, making sure you're getting all the way low, as far back behind you as you can, all the way up top. We're not really letting the back of the waist bend yet, right? This one's coming just from the shoulders. We're going to get to that one in a sec. Okay, when we've painted that whole sphere, now we're going to do the same thing, but our hands are going to be together, one big brush, and I'm going to let the motion come from bending at the hips and the waist. I'm painting that whole sphere, and don't forget to get way up top, way down by your feet, off to this side, as far back behind as we can go. All right, let's get that other side now. Over this way, over that way. Uh-oh, I noticed my video is counting down. I wonder if I'm hitting a size limit or what. Well, it's a good thing I'm recording this on my phone and a GoPro, so I'm going to stop the phone one and restart, and maybe I will edit these back together. If not, I'll just have to upload the GoPro one. Alrighty, so moving on, have you guys painted your whole sphere? We're just going to do a little bit of a flow up and down here. So starting normal stance, we'll go arms straight overhead. We'll let them come out wide. We'll dive forward, leading with our chest, fold all the way down. Hands come down, and we really let go of the back. Turn this way so we can see. Right, we're just folded, letting go of everything, letting the head and shoulders hang. You can sway a bit if you want, pedal the feet. Just letting ourselves fall into this. Then we'll go hands on our shins. Gonna start rolling those shoulders back, looking up halfway so we get a nice flat back. We really feel that stretch go completely into our hamstrings, maybe up into our butt. Hold this, and we'll fold again. Take a slight knee bend if you don't have it. We'll let ourselves roll all the way up. And arms straight overhead. Okay, I want you to go through this, maybe pause the video, go through it 5 more times. Remember, as we dive forward, every time we're folding forward comes with an exhale. Every time we look up halfway, or all the way up, an inhale takes us there, and then an exhale takes us back to fold. Okay, so please pause it right now. Get 3 more of those cycles, so we've done 5 total. And turn it back on when you're ready to go. Alrighty, are we done with that? Moving on. So, we're going to do another little flow from the ground here, but first we're going to get a little bit deeper into our wrists. Okay, so turn your hands out to the side. My wrists are under my shoulders, but fingers are pointing out. I'm on my hands and knees, and we're just going to rock side to side over our wrists right here. Good. Maybe going a little bit further every time. We're going to get a couple circles now here, so I'm not letting it come extreme from bending in the back. It's just a pushing through my shoulders, coming, dropping my shoulders through, and we'll get little circles across like this, right? The motion is coming from my shoulder joint, not a whole lot of arching and flexing of the back. Okay. Switch directions. Alrighty, now we'll turn those hands in. So again, my wrists are still right under my shoulders. Fingers are facing in now. You can go forward and back on this, side to side. Remember, be gentle. If this is a little bit extreme, bend those elbows a little bit out to the side. We can decrease that angle at the wrist. I'm pressing through the top and the back of my hands, right? Through my wrist. I'm not coming up onto these knuckles, right? Really, we can be easy on it, but you want to make sure you're pressing through the right spot. Okay, sometimes I like going up and down, doing a couple little knee push-ups here, just to start loading that wrist. And then we'll go back to flat, but we'll turn them all the way around. Our fingers are facing in, and we're just going to do little half circles, right? So I'll start over here, and I'll come back and forward onto this one, and then back, making little U's. Good. Ooh, hear my knee crack. Okay, going all the way through. Good. Okay, we'll sit back on it, really dive into them. You can go all the way back, let those palms come up, so we're just on the fingers now. Alrighty. So, this is another favorite flow of mine. If you've done a mobility class with me, we've done this a couple times. If you're brand new, not too bad. So we'll talk about the positions first and then how we're gonna flow through it. It's 2 familiar positions if you've ever done a yoga class before, right? So we'll start at a plank, and then we'll push back to down dog. I'm really pushing back from here. Getting a twist in with my upper arms, kind of pushing those armpits towards the ground, pushing my butt up towards the ceiling. Okay, that's the first position. Second one is up dog. So we're here, I'm on the tops of my feet, pressing to the tops of my feet. Everything else is off the floor. Rolling my shoulders down the back, pushing my chest through. And then the very last thing is I can look up to get that neck bend, right? I'm pushing my hips forward and down towards my hands, and I'm pressing through my feet. Everything else is off the ground, okay? So those are the positions. When you're comfortable in those, here's what the flow looks like. So we start in a plank, we'll push back to down dog, and we just want to roll through the spine. Rather than coming back through a plank, we're gonna kind of get a wave through our spine. So you come up onto your toes, we start to round, and you get this wave that comes up through, all the way up into up dog, okay? And then we come back through, head falls first, then the shoulders come with it, back, up, we press through, okay? So when inhale takes us there, and an exhale takes us back. Okay, so go through that 3 more times on your own. Pause it if you want to go through it more. Awesome. Moving slow, moving with your breath. Letting your breath dictate the pace, right? So your body's following your natural breath rhythm. You're not breathing to try to keep up with the movement. Okay, everybody back, ready. We're gonna go into the psoas a little bit, do a couple little stretches, then we're gonna move to the hamstrings and do a little bit of some hip opening to finish. Okay, so let's all stand up. Psoas stretch we're gonna do today is gonna be a standing, kind of a deep lunge. We're gonna drop our knee in it. That's a good way to get into the psoas and less from the hip flexor. Okay, so I want you to take a nice wide stance. Front knee is over our front ankle, and we're going to drop that back knee pretty deep into it. Okay, so we're not trying to keep it straight. I'm not all the way to the ground in a low lunge, but I'm just letting that knee hover, and I'm really dropping into it. You can feel it kind of stretch across the front of the hip, but it gets into our psoas a lot deeper, right? So we're going to add a little bit of thoracic spine twisting into this while we're letting ourselves sink into the stretch. So we'll go arms straight overhead. Take a nice big inhale, exhale, arms fall out, and I look back over my rear hand. Inhale takes us back up. Now we're going the other direction, exhale, arms fall, I look to that back hand. Inhale takes us back up. Okay, so what I want you to do is go through 5 cycles on each side, right? So that'll be 5 twisting to your left, 5 twisting to your right. Then move to the other leg forward, 5 and 5. We're gonna do 3 total rounds of that. Okay, so go ahead and pause it. Let me know when you come back. All right, everybody back. Done all of our twisting, letting the breath dictate that movement as well. Okay, so this one we've done before as well. We're gonna stay in one posture. Okay, so we'll be sitting here, let one leg come across the front, so this knee is on the floor, or almost, right, if your hip's more flexible than mine. Then I'm gonna let this foot come back behind, kind of like a hurdler stretch. So I have this kind of a position right here. Now I'm gonna twist to the side where my knee is on, well, I guess both knees on the floor. The leg that is lying this way. You guys can see what I'm talking about. We're gonna twist over this direction, staying nice and upright, okay? A lot of times we go for the deepest twist that we can, and then eventually we fall down to the forearms and try to hold this twist. We're gonna do things a little bit different, right? So I'm gonna turn so that I'm facing the camera while I'm in this twist, okay? So I've got my stance here again. We're gonna really take a nice tall stance, so keep that chest up, and I'm gonna walk into this twist. And I'm almost arching my back, I'm pushing my belly forward, and I'm pushing into this hip, and staying nice and tall and upright. And you feel it come across this hip, and we can get into our psoas this way too, right? So you wanna kind of move around a lot. Sometimes there's some moving, squeezing the butt, twisting a little bit, readjusting the legs. I want you guys to play in this position until we feel that stretch in a very similar spot to where we just felt it in those lunges, okay? So we can get to a lot of different stretches in this similar looking posture. Usually helps if you're nice and tall in this stretch and really almost arching the back, so we're really stretching on that long hip, the leg that's tucked back behind us. Okay, so I want you to find that spot. If you want to go deeper into the twist, it's okay. We're really not focusing on really getting a big thoracic twist here, right? I want it to be more of a stretch across the front. So find that spot, hang out here for 2 minutes. Pause the video. Okay, you're back after 2 minutes. We're just gonna switch, get the other direction. Remember what we're looking for, right? We're staying nice and tall. We're twisting so we get that stretch across the front and up into our psoas. We're not caring so much about a really deep thoracic twist. So when you find that spot, dive in, really letting your breath relax you, right? We take a nice big inhale into the belly, and every time we exhale, we really let go of everything. This is a big one for the breathing, right? Because when you take a big exhale down into your diaphragm here, we really feel it turn on the stretch in the hips. Okay, so use your breathing on this one. All right, go ahead and pause the video. Stay here for at least 2 minutes. All right, everybody back? Good, we're done with that for now. We're gonna go into a hamstring stretch. Hamstrings are one of those things that we stretch a lot. A lot of people think that they're pretty flexible in the hamstrings and think that they stretch their hamstring pretty often, but a lot of the times we don't actually get into it, right? So you'll see people that will fall really deep into these, and they think because they can really, you know, reach their toes. Some people can get their head all the way to their knees. That we're really getting deep into the hamstrings. It's not always the case. What we want is to take some of that stretch out of the low back and really focus it into the hamstrings. Okay, same thing can happen on a forward fold when we're really rounding. You are stretching that whole posterior, but a lot of the weight in that stretch is focused through the low back. So past a point, we're really stretching on the tendons and the ligaments through our low back, a place that we rely on a lot for stability. We don't really want lax connective tissue there. We want to focus the stretch into the muscles in our hamstrings. Okay, so you can feel the difference when you round and just go for the fold right here. And if you look up, we feel it turn off in the back a little bit, and then we really roll our shoulders back, right? I can hardly get there where I'm sitting upright if I really maintain this posture and this flatness through my back. I really can only get here, and I can touch my toes, but it's just barely. So we'll take some of the bending out. My favorite way to do this, we kind of did it already in our earlier flow, is to do it from standing, right? Nice narrow stance. We'll fall forward, really making sure we keep that back flat. Almost feels like we're deadlifting, but we're gonna keep the hips a little bit higher and the knees a little bit straighter. Get to a point where you are deep into it and you really feel that stretch in your hamstrings. If that comes with completely straight legs, cool. If you want to take a slight knee bend for comfort or for balance, that's fine too. The biggest thing is that we're really rolling those shoulders on the back, keeping this nice flat back, and we're just going to hang out here and really fall into the stretch. If you want to put your hands on a box or your bed or your desk or the counter, awesome. If you just want to rest your hands on your knees, that's fine. Don't let it come at the price where we start to soften and drop those shoulders though, right? So if you need to support yourself, that's fine. You almost can take it in excessive, almost an arch through the back. You really want to be feeling it in your hamstrings, right? So what we want to feel happen is while we're maintaining this posture, that I'm able to drop lower and lower and lower into it with keeping that flat back, right? So if you can get there and get your hands on the ground, I can just barely do it with my fingertips while I'm kind of maintaining that posture, right? It's okay to let it go a little bit as long as we're not getting a stretch and an excessive round through the low back, right? So I feel this almost exclusively in my hamstrings and behind my knees. So I like to hang out right here. Just fingertips on the ground is enough support for me, and I'm not really getting an excessive stretch through my low back. Okay, so once you find that spot, I want you to pause the video and sink into this, remembering though to never let ourselves relax and start to round through here, right? We're gonna keep our posture flat as possible through our back, really focus that stretch in the hamstrings, okay? So pause for 2 minutes, hang out here, remember to use that breath to really relax into it, and I'll see you when you come back. Alright, we all back? How are our hamstrings feeling? We're going to go back to that position in a second, so you'll be able to feel the difference after we do this one. Another great way to really ensure that our back doesn't get an excessive bend is to lie it flat on the ground. So this is a really, really good way to ensure that you're really stretching your hamstrings. So grab your belt, band, whatever it is that you have. We're just going to lie on our back. You can hook that band around kind of your forefoot. We just are going to use this to pull our toes back, and then let that other foot come straight right here. Right? And I'm going to hang on to this and try to straighten my knee, and I'm pulling my foot towards me. I'm pulling my toes down. You can really feel it turn on just in the hamstrings. Right? This is a great way to figure out if you actually have flexible hamstrings or not. I used to think that I had pretty darn flexible hamstrings because I was getting better and better and better at touching my toes. Now that I do this stretch a lot, I know that my hamstrings have gotten more flexible, but not nearly as much as I thought they had. Right? So this one, sometimes it gets kind of tough to really hang out here for 2 minutes. So what you can do is pull really hard, turn it on, almost push against it for 10 seconds and then let go. Or find a spot that's a slight decrease in the stretch, right? It's still stretching, but it's not excruciating, and really let myself hang out here, right? So what I don't want is I don't want my foot to fall out to one side or the other. That becomes a different stretch, okay? Right now we're focusing on the hamstring. I don't want to let my knee bend and start letting this thing falling away, right? It's an uncomfortable spot, and your body's going to naturally want to turn off the stretch, okay? We really want to focus on staying there. So that's why I want you to find a spot that is a good stretch, but it's comfortable enough that you can hang out for a little while, okay? So this one you can stay as long as you want. I want you to get at least 2 minutes, but you can stay as long as you're comfortable with, right? So again, keeping it nice and straight, keeping my hips flat on the ground, knee is straight, I'm pulling this up towards me, pulling my toe flat, and I'm just finding a spot. I like to have a straight arm so that I don't have to worry about bending, right? And then kind of the weight of my shoulder will just take care of it for me, and all I have to do is worry about keeping my knee straight. But find a spot where you can hang out, okay? Use that breath to relax, pause the video for 2 minutes at least, hang out, I'll see you when you get back. Alrighty, everyone back? Good, go ahead and bend that knee. Shake that leg out. We're going to do the other side now. I'm coming back to the video just because we want to get a couple reminders, right? So that band goes across the forefoot. Other leg comes out straight. I find a spot where I can be comfortable here. Again, I like having a straight arm. We're going to focus on keeping that leg straight. I'm pulling my toe actively towards me, pulling the whole leg actively this way. Not going super extreme. You can pull into it to really test the limits of your flexibility and then back out of it. Sometimes pushing against it is a great way to build that flexibility, and then when you let go of the tension, we can often pull deeper into it. But what I want you to do right now is find a spot where you're comfortable. You can hang out right here and really let yourself relax into that stretch, right? Again, using the breath. Every time you let go of a breath, we let go of everything Thinking about the shoulders, jaw, face relaxing. Just really releasing, letting everything melt, and keeping that tension, not letting ourselves back out of it. All right, pause the video. See you in 2 minutes. All right, everyone back. We're feeling pretty good. This is something that you can do as often as possible. If you feel like pausing the video right now and going back and doing a couple rounds on each side, awesome. If you feel like staying longer, great. I have this strap. I keep it right next to my bed, and when I get into bed at night, I'll just lie back, and while I'm lying in bed, I'll throw a leg up and just let myself come into this stretch a little bit. It's a nice way to wake yourself up in the morning. So yeah, it's a great one, and you really focus in on the hamstrings. Bending and touching the toes is great, but sometimes we fool ourselves when we're thinking we're stretching the hamstrings. Alrighty, I want you guys to just come back into a long sit. Maybe you weren't even here in the first place. And we're not even going to go into a stretch. You can fall forward if you want. We're just going to come legs straight out in front, trying to relax everything, right? If you have to sit here and like flex the quads to hold yourself there, it's probably a sign that you need to stretch your hamstrings more. But if you can relax everything, feet are relaxed, but everything's out in front of us, and we can stay nice and tall, you should be able to be comfortable in this position, right? If you're not comfortable here, it's probably some hamstring tightness, maybe some postural support strength is lacking. But you should feel a lot more comfortable here now than you did a few minutes ago before we did our hamstring stretches. This is a great way to just test if your hamstrings are getting more flexible, right? When we turn that good posture on, a lot of that stretch has to come through here. So anyone can sit here and probably be comfortable, but really pulling ourselves into a tall seat is a great way to test if we're actually getting more flexible in our hamstrings, okay? Another great way is just to go back into that same stretch we did before the banded one, where we're forward and we're here, really holding our posture good through the back, coming forward, and feeling if we're more flexible in this spot, right? This is another great tester to see if we're really getting a lot more flexible. Alrighty, so last little bit here, we're going to do just a little bit of moving to kind of open up our hips that maybe we haven't really gotten into yet. We're going to sink into a couple of deep poses, and then it's going to be done. There's only going to be a couple more minutes of the video. Your session today might be another 10 to 20 minutes for you, depending on how long you decide to stay in these stretches. Okay, so right now I want you just to get out into your squat stance, and we're going to do 10 slow, controlled, perfect air squats. Okay, so arms are forward for balance, and we'll come all the way down as deep as you can go, right? Pressing the knees out. Everyone here should be a good squatter by now. You should know the position that you're in. Okay, so get your 10. If you need to do a goblet squat and you want some weight out in front of you for counterbalance, please do so. If you want to do them on a pole, please do so, right? So we'll get our 10. I think this is number 4 for me. Alright, so 9. On the 10th one, I want you just to stop in the bottom, right? We'll really sink down into it. We're going to be diving pretty deep into our hips here in a sec, so I just want you to really get used to, not get used to it, I'm sorry. I just want you to dive in and start opening up the hips. We haven't done a whole lot of that yet, right? So we're sitting in it. You can hold the hands out in front if you need it. If you're comfortable sitting here, you can press the knees out like always. It doesn't have to be excessive. Sometimes I like getting a twist in there. We can move back and forth. I get circles at the hips, back and forth, right? Just really, really trying to sink down in, fall in love with this position. Another favorite one of mine is I'll grab this opposite shin or ankle, tuck my shoulder in, get a twist. I'm using that shoulder to pull me into a twist. And then I'll get a sideways stretch where it comes up this way too. Another great one while you're in a squat. Make sure you go the other direction. Alrighty, so we're nice and comfortable in our squat now. Alright, okay, so come into child's pose. You guys should know it, right? We're just on our hands and knees here. Come forward, reaching those shoulders away, get some length through your spine. We're reaching our hands away, pushing the armpits towards the ground, pushing the hips back down towards our heels. Get used to the spot, hang out. We'll be here 10, 15 seconds. Then what we're going to do is walk those knees wider. I'm going to turn this way so you can see the width. Right, so here was straight on. I'm going to start going wider. My feet are together, just letting the knees come out. We'll reach forward, sinking into it for another 20 seconds or so. Just easing our hips out wider. When you're comfortable there, go as wide as you can go. I still have my toes together, right? Sometimes it's nice to sit up in this spot, open everything up, and then we'll reach forward again. Fall into your really, really wide child's pose. Letting everything get heavy, right? Those hips are really sinking in towards the ground, letting everything get heavy. Stay there a bit longer, pause the video if you need to. I know it hurts the knees a little bit, but if I can do it on my cousin's garage floor on the concrete with just a towel, I think you'll be okay on a mat. Okay, so we're gonna come to next, you're in your wide child's pose. Stay there, we're still sinking in, right? Next, we're gonna come out of it. Leave your knees as wide as they go and just let your feet come out. So now your shins are parallel, feet are straight back behind your knees. And we're gonna come into just a frog right here. We're gonna stay here a while, okay? So get comfortable. This is your spot. I'll turn this way so you guys can see me. This one's a little bit rough on the garage floor, so I'm not gonna stay here too long. But I'm as wide as I can get. Forearms is usually a good spot. You want your hips kind of right above your knees. You can move back and forth to explore in this spot, but really we're just gonna let everything sink in. Don't come out of it. Go ahead and stay there. What I want you to do is really try to relax down into this spot. This is another one that when you take those big, deep breaths into your diaphragm, you really feel it turn on that stretch, especially in the sides of our hips out here by our butts, up through the groin. And when you let go, you really let those hips and everything get heavy and melt towards the ground. Okay, so this is a big one where the breath can really help us dive in deeper. And when you get comfortable in a spot, just inch those knees out a little bit wider. I want you to stay here a good 3 minutes, maybe longer. You could spend as much time as you want in this spot. But if you start getting comfortable, just inch those knees out a little bit wider, okay? But really focus on your breath. Go ahead and pause it. I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, everyone back. Hips feeling great. This is going to be our last one. So go ahead and grab your block or your yoga block or your foam roller or whatever. I have a clean canteen and a flannel shirt because I am traveling. What we're going to do is we're doing pigeon, but we're going to do a little kind of pre-stretch before we get into it. Okay, so come back into your long sit. I want you to bring one leg up across. It's not going to be extreme yet, right? So this foot is on the ground. And then we're going to pull it in as tight as it goes. And I want you to get your arms around that leg if you can. Pull that knee all the way into your chest. Pull that foot up towards your hip as high as it goes. And then from here, we can turn that stretch on even more. I'm going to maintain my grip. I'm just going to pull my back in nice and flat, right? So when we're rounded right here, you're kind of letting your belly and your ribcage fall away from your foot. I'm going to get nice and tall, push my chest through. I want to get my whole belly to be contacting my leg, right? So we're staying nice and tall here. Using that breath to relax into this spot. You can continue to pull that leg in tighter and tighter as you get more and more into that stretch. right? You can get some twists from here. Sometimes I'll maintain that grip with the one arm. I'll get a twist this direction. Same thing, regrip, get one going that direction. But we're just gonna hold that leg in nice and tight. Stay there for a while, okay? 1 minute, pause the video if you want. Then we'll come out of it. We'll come into our spidey, so make some room for that leg. We'll come all the way up into your spidey. Move around here for a good 15-20 seconds, making little circles. Front to back, side to side. Then we'll walk that foot all the way across so it's behind that opposite hand. Lie the knee down, lie the foot down. Leg comes all the way down, and we'll sink into our pigeon. If you want to make this a little bit easier, if this is too deep at the moment, that's where your block or your roller comes in. I don't actually think I need the water bottle. We'll just do the shirt here. It goes under my thigh and my hip right here. I just fill in some of that space so that I can really sit on it. And the goal here is I'm trying to keep my shin parallel with the top of my mat, right? So I want it coming straight across in front of me. I don't want it, trying to show it from the front here. I want it to be nice and straight across the front here so that I can come down into it. I don't want it tucked excessively underneath me, okay? So find yourself proper pigeon position. Sink down into it. We're going to stay here a good while. This is something that you can stay as long as you want. I encourage you to stay several minutes. We're going to go for at least 2, right? This is another big one. I feel like I've been saying it a lot, but breath is such a big piece of all of these stretches, right? So we really, big deep breath into our diaphragm. Loud, audible exhale, fully letting go of everything. Really letting those hips melt down in. Feeling that stretch get a little bit deeper each time I let go. This is another one where when we really take a big deep breath into our diaphragm, you feel it turn on that stretch, turn on some tension, and then you get a chance to really let go of all of it and let yourself dive in, okay? So pause the video, stay a couple minutes. I'll see you in a few. All right, are we back? Other side, and this is going to be our final thing here, okay? So back into long sit. Other leg comes across now. For me, it's my left. Remember, we pull that foot in as close as it can go. Pull that leg in all the way to our chest. And now I'm really trying to sit up tall in this and get my ribs to be touching my foot across the front there, not letting my spine ride and turn off some of that stretch, right? So we're staying nice and tall. Really pull it in tight. Remember, if you want to keep that grip with one arm, get a twist to each direction. That's pretty nice, but just keep it in. You can continue pulling it in as that hip and butt get more and more open. We'll stay a few minutes. It's really hot here. I'm in Oregon and it's hotter than it is in California right now. And I'm in a garage with no ventilation, so it's nice and stuffy. All right, when we're feeling ready, come on out of it. I'll go this way this time. Come into your plank, make a little bit of room on the left side for that foot. It comes forward, up into your spidey lunge. We'll keep the back leg straight for now. Knee is right over the ankle. We'll move around a little bit, really pushing those hips towards the floor, making little circles, pushing forward, side to side. Okay, when you're feeling ready, we'll walk this foot all the way across. Drop the knee, drop the foot. Grab your bolster if you need it. I really need it on my left side. And then we'll drop all the way into it. Okay, so find that good spidey position. Trying to keep those hips square. That's another reason for the bolster, right? When I can get my hip all the way on the floor here, but I have to pick up my right side and it puts me into a little bit of a twist. I want to keep my pelvis square so that it's evenly falling towards the floor. So for me to get there, I gotta have a little something under my leg, okay? So no shame. You wanna be in a proper position You don't want to pretend to be all the way down when you really should be bolstering. Okay, so a little reminder, find that proper position, really using our breath, right? Inhale turns on some of that tension, let go of your exhale, letting go of everything, sinking down into it. Pause the video, hang out a couple minutes. I'll see you when you come back. Alrighty, everybody back. That is all for now. So thanks for joining me, guys. This was a lot of fun. I think I will make a regular thing of this. Every time that I'm away and we can't do a regularly scheduled Sunday night at 5 p.m. class at C Street. I hope everyone enjoyed this. Hope you got as much out of it as you did when we're there in person. And maybe this is a great opportunity to share what these classes are all about with your friends. Send this video around, try to bring some friends, spread the word at C Street, and if you want, you can repeat this class anytime now. So I think having a video record of these things is actually going to be quite helpful for everyone, and not gonna lie, I had a little bit of fun doing it. I was kind of nervous being in a garage talking by myself, but I just have to pretend that I'm here with all of you, and then it's not so bad to just talk at a camera. So thanks for joining me. Hope you feel nice and open and mobile. Go drink plenty of water, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you when I get back. Bye-bye. Thanks.